Life in the colony sure had changed. With the addition of just a couple of new faces, the entire place was given a lift, and for the first time in over a year, they were able to dedicate time to something as simple as tidying up, planting some flowers, making it feel more like home. They didn't know how long they'd be stuck here for. Everybody had their own room, their own space. The slaves were grateful to be off the slave ship, but they did also wonder, what have we bought into? It was then that Rebecca announced that she was going to research a way for them off the planet. They all looked at her like she was mad. Just in case, they built some more accommodation wings in case more people came. Rebecca toiled day and night at the research desk. She was convinced. Crypto sleep pods. That's how we'll do it. We'll just enough push to get out of orbit and into space. One good long thrust. We'll go to sleep in the cryptopods. We'll wake up somewhere else. But Lolita, when they were building, got trapped. Abrunio hadn't realized she was behind the wall. And there was a tree blocking her exit. The thunder and the lightning. The claustrophobia. Trapped in the dark, not sure if she hadn't been freed. It had been a trap. All kinds of paranoid thoughts running through her mind. She freaked out and she ran and hid in a little cave. Nobody knew she was in there. They thought she'd run off, or they feared the worst. Maybe she'd been killed by some local wildlife or dragged off by bandits or natives. Finally, Schroeder said, "Hey, I think there was a tree in that room." And when the tree cut down, the batshit crazy Lolita jumped out and chased after him, screaming obscenities. "You're trying to kill me," she said. Shoot her. Bam. Headshot. And one more from Abrunio, and down she went. Schroeder, as Rebecca had with him, understood. It wasn't her. She'd been driven temporarily insane. It wasn't her decision. It was her brain playing tricks on her. He carried her tenderly to her room, treated her with some medicine. She'd been shot multiple times. Abrunio, feeling guilty, spoon-fed her, and they nursed her back to health. When she'd recovered, she was glad to see the construction had been continuing at fine pace. Not only wooden walls, but wooden floors. "We need an antimatter reactor," said Rebecca. And the others smiled and rolled their eyes a little bit. "Okay, Rebecca," they said. They had breakfast. Lolita explained to Rebecca why she'd gone crazy, and Rebecca said, "Don't even worry about it. Crazy stuff happens around here all the time." And at that moment, Abrunio dragged, somehow through a tiny door, the giant body of the abomination. Abrunio had come up with the idea that if they could break down the mechanoid bodies, they might be able to extract useful materials. After a brief diversion to pep up the sniper rifles, which seemed to be the bulk of their defense, Rebecca turned her mind back to finding them away off the planet. "We're gonna need a lot of metal," they said. And they mined, and they slept. And when they woke, they ate, and they mined some more. "We're gonna need thousands and thousands of pounds of ore. If it meant a way off this rock, it was worth it. Surely it was worth it. Inevitably. Perhaps getting wind of the vast supply of ore, not to mention silver and weapons, more bandits came. They'd built a mortar But the sniper rifles were their main defense. Able to hold off an attack at range, give them time to get to the sandbags, give the mortar time to fire. Unfortunately, it was extremely inaccurate. Their primitive mortar could do little against the well-armed, aggressive bandits, but the sniper rifles, able to fell a man with a single shot, or sometimes more than one shot. The Molotov cocktails, automatic rifle fire rained down on the sniper rifle. Schroeder wandered into the middle of the fire, but they called him back. Rebecca had barely left the research table. Luckily, the bandits, having lost so many of their number, fell back. The sniper rifle still nipping at their heels as they ran. To give them one final message, Lolita let them have one extra mortar shell, just so they knew they meant business. "Don't come back!" shouted Rebecca. She knew it was in vain. They'd be back. Rebecca and Schroeder went out to inspect the dead. And they found that actually they were pretty well armored. For the first time in a while, Rebecca and Schroeder felt a little more protected. Rebecca put on the body armor, put on the helmet. She'd lost so much. Her arm, her sight, covered in scars. They'd also managed to capture a bandit. There wasn't much that Lolita could do for him. But maybe if they could nurse him back to health, maybe he would understand. But no. Tiffy didn't understand. Tiffy was crazy. He was a shipwright, so he might have been quite useful when it came to building the ship. But sadly, he was completely bonkers. He couldn't stand being kept in prison. And worse still, in the attack, he'd sustained injuries so grave that he'd been paralyzed. All they could do was tuck him up back in bed, feed him, treat him as well as they could. His kidney and his leg destroyed. He was unable to move. They left him. But they didn't forget him. Even if he did go crazy, what was he going to do? It was then that they decided to start construction on this crazy ship idea of Rebecca's. But as they started to build, they felt a renewed sense of hope and optimism. That same optimism that had sustained Rebecca over a year on Grimworld. Schroeder was worried about the lightning. What if some of the lightning hits the AI core? What are the chances of us finding another one, he said. So they built a shelter. Also, this will keep out the bandits. One grenade, one Molotov cocktail, who knows? After we've invested so much time and so much metal into building this thing, I'll be damned if someone's going to take it away from us. But they weren't thinking ahead. Bruno. For a slave, he sure was an amazing builder. He was able to construct the AI core that would pilot the ship. Another slaver came by, and luckily they had a lot of guns left over from all the bandit attacks, and they sold them. And they were able to buy another slave. Be a person called Salmon. Not Jonathan Jono Rigby, but Basculo Salmon. Not Tranker Swan, Basculo Salmon! Not Jonathan Jono Rigby, no. Come on. No, yes! Thank you. Basculo Salmon was very clever, very hardworking, and very sweet. She endeared herself straight away to the other members of the colony. It was at this point Rebecca started to think. She didn't express her thoughts. She was going to wait. She wanted to see what the others would turn out like. She'd only known them a little while. She'd done the measurements. She'd done the calculations. And while Salmon smelted the metal slag that was left over, Rebecca busied herself alone, digging out more room behind the ship, when suddenly an earthquake struck. But for a change, they were in luck. No damage. No one hurt. This wasn't like Grimworld. Still, bad omen, said Rebecca. She was glad Schroeder wasn't around to hear her say that. The mining continued. On and on and on. Stacks and stacks of iron ore, ready to be turned into a way off this godforsaken shithole. The miscalculation was in the dimensions of the spaceship, and they had to rebuild the walls several times. But they did it. They knew that this was in the dark, so to speak. They'd also need to clear the roof off above the spaceship before they could construct the tall power core and the massive engines. 2,500 iron ore. So much. And more besides for the engine, which didn't quite line up, but it doesn't matter. How much does that leave us needing for the cryptopods? Rebecca turned away quickly and said, I'll get back to you. Because what she had realized was that there was only room for 4 cryptopods. 4 cryptopods, 5 colonists. She'd already decided. She was going to stay. They traded every scrap of silver that they had, grabbing every piece of ore from every industrial trader that came within communications range. They piled it high. They worked day and night. The sooner it was finished, the sooner they could get out of here. Everything else seemed to fade into the background. Nothing was important. Not farming, not defense, not new buildings, not digging. Just the ship. Rebecca's obsession had become their obsession. But Grimworld wasn't going to let them leave easily. Oh no. It had plans for them. A giant anthill sprang forth from the ground like a boil on the face of Grimworld. They were going to have to fight. They set the sniper rifle to fire at the anthill. They even fired mortars at the anthill. The rest of them carried on as normal. The monotonous bang, bang, bang of the sniper rifle, like a staccato rhythm to their day. This is going to take forever, said Rebecca. I'll get it, said Schroeder. And he grabbed some Molotov cocktails that one of the bandits had dropped. Decided he would burn the ants down. But as ever, he was a terrible shot. But even then he realized, wait a minute. Fire goes up. These ants are just going to hide underground and wait for it to pass over. So, realizing the folly, they gave up. Hopefully they'd be gone before the ants became a major problem. Hopefully. construction was really shaping up. But the lightning, well, that gave them all pause. So much investment. One lightning strike would wipe out weeks of work. And Grimworld tended to throw things at you, not in 1s and 2s, but in 4s, 5s, and 6s. The only thing left to do was build the cryptopods. 4 cryptopods. Rebecca told them over dinner. Someone's going to have to stay behind. It's going to be me. They begged and pleaded with her, but she said, it's my colony, I'm the leader, I've made my decision. The rest of you will leave. I'm blind, I've lost my arm. I said to her, but look what you've achieved. And if we find one of the worlds in the inner circle, they've got cybernetic implants, you'll be able to see no problem. Better than before. Well, we've still got a lot of mining to do before we have to make that decision. And mine they did. One day when Rebecca was mining, a squirrel attacked her. She fumbled for her minigun. Still blind, she was able to grab the squirrel, throttle it to death. Grimworld was not going to let them go without a fight. Bad omen, said Rebecca. So was the fire caused by a rogue boom rat. They had to walk past it on their way to and from the mining site, like a reminder that they were still in hell, and they could easily end up back there. One slip. One day while Schroeder was working in a field, he fell into a cave. Some underground mining sinkhole. He was trapped. For a few hours nobody knew where he was, but then they heard his cries. They ran to see him. He was trapped below the cave with nowhere to get back to. But he told them that the cave was full of ore. Extracting it was far more important than his life. There were 4 pods and 5 colonists. He begged them, bring me food and I will mine. I will give you the metal that you need. This is my sacrifice, Rebecca. This is my choice. This is how I pay you back. She begged him. She wept. She begged. He wouldn't listen. And finally, they agreed. Schroeder was dead. But in his place, nearly 2,000 pounds of metal ore. Enough to finish the cryptopods. Enough to get off the planet. Rebecca could not stop crying. The others set to work. She joined them. She wouldn't let Schroeder's sacrifice be in vain. They were going to finish the ship. They were going to get off the world. This hellhole began to rain. Felt like Grimworld was weeping. Not for Schroeder, but because it was losing the fight. Because it was losing the battle to break their will and keep them here. Rebecca could sense the planet's anger. Work quickly, she said. She still found time to help Tiffy. Then, the planet threw as many of the natives as it could get together. Man the battle stations, she said. All the guns came online. They took up their positions behind the sandbags, and they waited. 20, maybe 25 natives. This would be their last stand. The ship so close to completion. If the natives kept coming, if they got past the outer gun, one well-thrown spear, one volley of bow fire, but the gun held. So many natives killed in less than a minute. The resolve of these wild men was broken, and they fled. As they were fleeing, the merciless sentry gun continued to fire. 2 more died. 2 more were hit at extreme range. One lost his right arm. The other lost his left arm. They could be twins. They lost arms, just like Rebecca had. She laughed. Even as they repaired the guns, she laughed, and I asked her what was so funny. She couldn't explain it. Something was wrong with the generator. If the generator blew, the guns would be offline. The ship would be safe. Its power was separate from the generator. They knew it was gone. They let it burn out. The battery power was almost depleted. The solar energy was all they had. One more attack and that would be the end of them. Did they have enough time? 3 pods were finished. Just a little more ore, said Rebecca. Just a few more pounds. She mined like she'd never mined before. She could taste it. Escape. In a way that she didn't want to articulate, even victory. But a Pyrrhic victory. Schroeder, dead underground. Or maybe trapped down there alive. Maybe blindly, like Rebecca, feeling his way along unknown tunnels, regretting his decision. Just a few more pounds, and finally, they had everything they needed. Salmon was working hard. She finished off the last cryptopod, her pod, while Rebecca stood outside. Lolita and Bruno loaded themselves in. Salmon finished the last pod. She stepped outside to find Rebecca. "Are you coming?" said Bruno. "Of course," said Rebecca. "I just need a minute." Bruno boarded the pod as Rebecca took one last look around. Her colony. Her home for over a year. She said a brief thank you by the grave of her fallen comrades. And she muttered curses over the graves of her fallen enemies. By memory, she found her way back into the colony, as she'd done so many times. Through the storeroom, the smell of the potatoes, the strawberries. Past her research desk, into her room. She recorded a brief log on the black box recorder, placed it carefully on the top of her desk, and then she left. She walked out of her room. She walked out of the colony. And then Rebecca Cain, survivor, warrior, optimist, boarded the cryptopod. The AI was programmed to take off as soon as they were all aboard. And it did.